Welcome back to the Glacial Gold Hunter. We got some new gear today, so it's gear testing day. Now we are in the outback of Wisconsin, and that means we're allowed to use sluice boxes. And today I got my very own VDR mat. We got some other gear coming too. Now I'm sure most of my viewers also watch Jason the Flower Gold Wizard, and he uses this VDR mat all the time. Well, I wanted to give it a try. So I got my own VDR mat, and I kiped this sluice box from Mr. Wizard himself. He gets a guy from Pirate Prospecting to make this, and this is a really nice box. First, we gotta make sure we're on some gold, and then we'll set up our box. Now, this is a spot that I've done really well in the past. There's not that much gold on the top, but as I get down a foot or two, the gold gets a lot better. So let's do a test pan and see if it's the same. I can see right here there's a small depression where my hole was. It's filled because I fill my holes, but you can still kind of see where I've disturbed it a little bit. Just some of this loose material here. I'll just kind of get that out of the way and probably get into some harder packed stuff. There, now it's hard. Let's see if there's gold in that. Now I've dug in here in the past, so if it's all loose sediment, it probably means that's my backfill. That's what I put back in the hole. But where I can dig off to the side and it's hard again, then that's the new stuff. You can see there's a mixture of this cobbles, bigger pieces, all the way down to sand and some clay. That's the mixture I like. Not much black sand. Might have to go deeper still, but let's see. Oh my gosh. No, we don't have to go deeper. There's a monster flake right there. Very first pan. Look at that. There's some other specks there. And then that big thing right there, right away. I can't pick it up. Honestly, I can't even feel it. It's pretty thin, but still. That's good to see in your first pan. So with a pan like that, I don't think we need to search anymore. We're just gonna start filling buckets right here.
Fill it up, please.
Okay.
Clay covered rock, make sure you get that washed off. Some sandy limestone. Okay, so I got about half a bucket classified and ready to go. Let's get our sluice set up and get this test running. Now this little spot here's got a bunch of rocks and stuff all kind of propped up so we can get enough pitch and flow going through the box. And I'll have to get a feel for how much pitch and flow is needed for this box. Look at how well that's just going there. Nice laminar flow. Perfect V in the center. Let's see what it looks like with some dirt on there. Definitely need more flow. Immediately it's all caked up. I need that roiling and swirling, so we got to get more flow.
You've got to feel the flow.
Sometimes you can pack some rocks underneath and that'll kind of bulge the water up and get it to move over your box instead of under. And I've heard of some people, they'll take like a tarp and they pack it underneath their box. Everybody's got their own little trick. Still too slow. I'm gonna scoop some smaller rocks under there to kind of plug up the bottom of the box so the water isn't going under the box, and make sure it's going over the box. See how that looks. Well, I don't think it's perfect, but I think it's doing what it needs to do. I see the little riffles dancing all the way down and roiling, and that's kind of what you want. So I'm just gonna run that bucket and see what it catches. So I'll just sit here and scoop. And yes, I did bring my scooper today. So the riffles are turning black, but the more dense they get, the less they're dancing. So I think even more flow would be necessary to get this mat. So next time I run it, I'm gonna try to get a little bit more flow. All right, so that's the last of that bucket. So We'll let that run through, clean up a little bit, and then see how much gold we got. All right, all those riffles are just packed black, full of black sand. So if it's catching the black sand, I'm sure it's catching the gold. Actually, I'm just gonna slide the mat right on out. And that looks squeaky clean, perfect. Just take a peek at what we got. And there's gold all over in there. You can see pieces all along the edge, all those tiny little micro pieces of gold. All over there. Even a wiry looking one right there. Look at that. And I'm sure there's more in the black sand. So clearly the VDR mat works really well for catching the gold. I figured it would. That's why the Flower Gold Wizard uses it so much. Like anything, I think there's a learning curve. I could get to use it maybe a little bit better, get the flow just right and the pitch and everything, but still, it works really well. So I had a friend drop by, Steve from the Twin Cities Prospecting Group. You can find that on the Facebook page, and if you're interested in panning in the Midwest, that's a good place to look. But he brought a California sluice for me to try. So you can see here, it's kind of a drop riffle, and it's got some different shapes and different sizes of riffles here. Up here in the front, they're kind of a V, and then there's some bigger riffles right here, and then they get a little bit smaller as you go down. He says it works really good, and we're gonna give it a try today. So with these ones, these boxes are a little light, so he's got a board here, and then a big rock to kind of weigh it down and keep it in place, and it looks like it's rolling pretty good, so I'm excited to try it. So Steve got his set up real quick and easy, and I'm gonna see if I can do the same. He brought two of them so we can both try one out. So he said rule of thumb is about 1 inch of water or less going over the box, and I think that's what I've got there. He said I want a nice V coming down, and I see a nice V shape there. So next thing to do is put some dirt on it and see how it looks. All right, we'll try our first scoop. You can hear it clinking on its way down. Ooh, and I see some pieces of gold left behind there too. Seems to dance a little bit better the farther down you go for some reason. You can see it starting to turn black there on the edge. All right, so that bucket's run through, and every one of these riffles is just packed with black sand. So to clean it up, Steve showed me it's pretty easy. The way he did it is he just kind of stuck the end in a bucket like so. And we'll take this off. And then just flip it up like that.
That was easy.
That's super easy to rinse out there. Ready to go again. Now the important question, how much did it catch? Oh, there's some nice pieces. Nice pieces right there. Some smaller pieces all along the edge. Another glump of nice pieces right there. So that'll go in the concentrate bucket, and we'll clean it up later when we get home. But for now, let's just keep running material. So Steve also brought this for me to try. It's a steel pan. This is what the old timers would have used. I've only used plastic pans. Let's see if we can find some gold the way the old timers did. I got a hole down here, it's pretty deep, and it's always good to keep testing the material because you can dig past gold. So let's see how this works. Strip out these big ones. Now with this pan, there's no riffles to go off of, so I'm kind of wondering, should I treat it like the Patea pan or just carefully strip it out? Well, how do you do it, Steve? Yeah. So you still strip it off like this? Yep. Okay. right, let's see if we can see the gold. Oh yeah, there it is. Steel pan catches gold. Some nice pieces, and there's some smaller pieces there, but it's a lot harder to see them against a steel pan than it is those green and blue pans. You can see how that a little bit of rust on the pan gives it a little bit of texture too, to help kind of capture that gold once it sits to the bottom. All these guys with their fancy plastic pans with riffles and dyed green and blue, you don't need that. You just need a steel pie tin, just like the old timers did. So Steve's excavating around this big boulder here, and he dug this big clump of, I don't know if it's roots or a grass mat or something. It's full of dirt. He said go ahead and pan that out. So let's see what's in this. Oh my gosh, that's a dense ball of roots. Looks like pretty light material in there, but there's some gold in there. And that mass of stuff was holding a few specks of gold. Not big ones, but there's a bunch of little ones in there. Look at that. Sitting there in the rocks, a little frog.
It's not easy being green.
Here goes another bucket of material. Look at that garnet dancing around there. Like little jewels. You know, every time I have a video that does really well, gets a lot of eyeballs, I always get multiple people that tell me what a waste of time it is. You're wasting your time. I don't know how anybody can watch this and think I'm wasting time. Just doesn't make sense to me. So we've been going through some buckets and still finding some decent gold, but I think there is better gold around here. Last time I was here, I think we were in a little bit better string. So I did some poking, and I just came to the other side of the river and took a test pan, and man, it was good. So I'm gonna fill a bucket right here, and then I'll show you what we got. Now, as usual in our tailings pile, we've been pulling out some really cool rocks, and every rock tells a story. Here's some beautiful red jasper. Comes from the iron formations. There's iron formations in northern Minnesota, in northern Wisconsin, and Michigan. What's in Ontario, I'm not really sure. Where this came from, again, I'm not really sure. But there's no iron formation around here. I do know it came a long way. This is a banded chert nodule. Now it looks like an agate, but I don't think it's actually what we would classify as an agate. An agate has a very vitreous luster, meaning like a glassy luster. It's microcrystalline quartz. This is banded chert, which is also microcrystalline quartz, but it almost looks like there's some sand grains in here. Now, chert can deposit in layers under the water. Limestone deposits, it's very common to find banded chert mixed in there. And I don't understand the exact mechanism for how the chert nodules get embedded in the limestone, but it's basically you have a layer of limestone, you have a layer of chert, and then you get like a turbidity flow or something moves in the sediment and it kind of binds together, it kind of rolls together. I believe that's what this would be, a chert nodule that would probably be in some limestone or dolomite, but not exactly what we would call an agate, despite the banding that you see. Now this is a really cool example of differential erosion. You can see the matrix of the rocks is kind of sandy, but I think it's like a sandy limestone. And mixed in are all these pockets, all these vugs of druzy quartz. Now what happens is little critters burrowing through the sand can leave little tunnels little hollows. So that's a different texture and a different cementation. It gets cemented a little bit differently so it can weather away. And the bedrock around here has a lot of water flowing through it. So there'll be caves and karst. This is a miniature version of that. The water flowing through the stone has eroded away, probably where those critters were tunneling, and then later on minerals precipitated on those voids, leaving this druzy quartz. This would be really cool to cut in half and see what's inside. So I think I might bring it home and do that. It's not just about gold. Every rock tells a story. So those California sluices worked pretty well. Steve was running his and he let me use one, and I really like that thing. But now we're gonna go back to the VDR mat, and then I brought out my regular low V mat. We're gonna give those a try. We'll run this next bucket through those. 2 sluices is faster than 1, eh? Scoop for you. And a scoop for you. Now when I'm out here doing a field test, I can't really quantify which mat is catching gold better than any other mat. I can just quantify that it is catching gold. I'd need a lot more controlled setting if I was going to be like, which mat is the best. For a field test, that's not what I'm about. I just kind of want to see if it works. And every mat that I've tried works. And I see people out here using just about every mat ever made. So I think it comes down to personal preference. Whichever mat you like the best, that's the best one to use. This low V mat seems to work great. The VDR mat seems to work great. The California sluice, again, great. One mat might be easier to clean out than the other, but still, in the end, they all catch gold. I'm sure there's a winner, but I'm not able to determine that right now. I'm just having fun sluicing. That bucket was split amongst the both of them evenly. So let's see which one has more gold. Let's go ahead and test that VDR mat first. By the way, VDR stands for Vortex Drop Riffle. Drop Riffle was a type of sluice that the California sluice was. So same process, it's just got those little vortexes in there too. And the VDR mat is silicone rubber, which means it's a lot more expensive. Silicone rubber is expensive. So I guess this is the equivalent of half a bucket through that VDR mat, if it caught anything. Ooh, it sure did, and there's some good gold there. Nice pieces, oh my goodness. The VDR mat definitely catches gold very well. Look at all that. So the low V mat should look similar if it's doing as good of a job. I know it caught at least one piece I could see on the mat when I dumped it out. Big piece. So that should still be in here. Oh, wow. That's a picker. So the low V mat did a really good job too. There's good chunky pieces all over the edge there. It caught them all. And that picker right there. My goodness, that's a nice piece. Maybe it's not a picker. Oh my gosh, I'm a lot. Oh, nope. I picked it up. It's a picker. Ha ha ha. So like I said, I've yet to use a mat that I haven't caught gold with. And it's kind of fun to change it up sometimes. But we got a little bucket of concentrates here packed with gold. We're gonna go back and fill our hole, and then we'll go home and clean all this up. Okay, so we're back at headquarters and we got everything all strained out to a uniform size. Here's our bigs. We'll have to check that for nuggets later, but for now, I'm gonna run all this through our Flower Gold Wizard cleanup sluice. Stick a pan in here to make sure we catch our tailings, just to check. Why did that speed up so much? Why does it keep ramping up in speed? I'm not touching anything. It goes up and down. What is going on? It stopped. it completely stopped. Why? Whoa, now, oh my gosh. What the heck is happening? Well, it's running even now. I don't know what the deal was. Loose wire or something maybe. I see gold collecting up on the top. That's great. One thing, I just saw my picker go all the way by and land in my collection. And that's the thing about this sluice. It's not really made for the bigger pieces. This is made for the smallest fine gold. So those big flat flakes sometimes can skate by. That's why I put a pan down below. Oh, now it's dying down again. Why? Oh my gosh. I didn't touch anything. Completely dead. It completely died. Can someone in the comments tell me what's going on? Is my pump shot? Ah. So this thing has been dying down to like nothing and then like revving up. It's been weird. When it dies down to nothing and then goes back up, I've seen waves of material come blasting down that I've caught in my pan. I can see I've caught most of the gold. Oh, now it just died altogether. So I don't want to turn it on again. But I can see gold that's captured up in the pan there. So I'm going to get that out. Then I'm going to pan through this and see what I missed. I'm sure I washed some bunch of gold down in there. My pump is doing something, but it's not sucking anything. Let's just pan the tailings out quick because I know there's some in there. So I panned out that other material and there wasn't as much that washed out that I thought. There were two bigger flecks in there, so I got those back in here and a few minor specks, but even still with all the malfunctions, it caught pretty much all those smaller specks, which is really good. So now we got just a little bit of material. Toss that back and show you what we got. And there it is, all cleaned up. Whole bunch of flour gold and two really nice bigger pieces there. There's a coin for scale. That's a super good day. Let's weigh it up quick and see what we got. Ooh, that is a good one. 0.051. Anytime I can go out in the creek and find some gold, that's a great day. It's an exceptional day if I find enough that will register on the scale. So today was an exceptional day. Thanks to Steve for meeting me out there and showing me that new equipment. That was super fun. He also gave me some beach sand from Nome, Alaska. That'll be super cool to get through. I'll do that on an upcoming video. And again from Nome, Alaska, a piece of schist with some quartz veining and some pyrite inclusions in there. I want to cut this open and see what it looks like with like a polished side. That'll be an upcoming video as well. I think we're forgetting one more thing though. Oh yeah, we gotta check for nuggets. Okay, look for nuggets. There were no nuggets. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.